Hello, everybody. I know, out of all the times we decided to come back, it's whenever I'm not feeling super great and my voice sounds like absolute trash. Yes, we're finally back with Sunday Funday. I just realized I don't have my wedding ring on right now. But,
But he's still taken. Don't get any ideas, ladies.
Oh, yes, let me tell you, you want the nerd in the Spider-Man Venom shirt. Maybe later on I'll get into a video talking about the big long hiatus. But in the meantime, we're gonna give y'all actually a Sunday fun day over a movie that we just saw a few days ago. We've let it mill in our brains so that way nobody can say, well, it's just your first impressions. You need to let it sit for a little bit. I think somebody said that about one movie. I can't remember what it was. It was a piece of shit, and I watched it again. It's still a piece of shit. But we're here, of course, to talk about The Eternals. So two quick things, real fast, about this. One, Megan, of course, has not read the comics about this because Megan's more of a DC fan when it comes to comics. Even then, not a huge one.
Yeah, I'm not a huge comic book fan. Like, I will watch, like, movies based on comic books depending on the premise.
Yeah, and she'll watch shows also as well.
Yeah,
but Megan's not a huge comic nerd like I am. But even then, again, more DC than anything. And honestly, I don't really remember the Eternals all that much. I don't. A quick thing about the comics, they were something that Jack Kirby is famous for, but at the same time wasn't exactly the best well known for it. It's not his shining beacon of best comics ever. So, also, we're going to spoil the shit out of this movie. If you don't want it spoiled, I will try to put in a time code here after a bit to let you know when you should go forward. But yeah, we're going to spoil the shit out of it. Sorry. It's the way that we got to explain the problems with this movie, to put it lightly. So, to begin off, we're just going to dive into the actual plot of the meat and bones of the story. Because the movie does kind of just drop you into everything. Which, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not a terrible idea that you're going to drop people into this.
But then they keep having to flash back and forth. It's like, you don't tell one cohesion,
cohesive story.
Yeah, one. I think I was going for cogent.
Yeah.
One cohesive, comprehensive story. Just linear.
Yeah, this is one of those movies, much like Dunkirk, if it was a little bit more linear, I don't think it would be a good movie, but I think it wouldn't be as problematic as it is. It feels like, very early on, one of the quick problems you have, it feels like the plot takes forever to start. Like, the actual meat and potatoes of the entire thing is that these Eternals, these characters, of which there's 10 of them, and yes, we're all...
That's problem number one right there.
Yeah.
It's like way too many people to focus on.
Holy shit, there's way too many people in this movie.
And then some of them kind of fall by the wayside where it's like, oh yeah, I forgot they were a thing. I forgot they were in this movie until like nearly the end when it's like, oh hey, let's get the band back together.
Yeah. And it also doesn't help that the best way to put it, because of this constant flash, it begins in the past when the Eternals first get here. They're there to fight deviants. Now, those, even we were talking with some of our friends yesterday, they're like, oh, so they mean like Loki's, like how he's technically considered a deviant to the time streamer thing. No,
not a variant.
Yeah, that would have been too good. That would actually have been interesting. That would have made the story tie into something recent.
Yeah.
But no, instead, we're going to have to go ahead and begin spoiling things. Deviants are these creatures that were originally created way back when by this celestial, burnt celestial being. Best way to think of it, it's a new god on steroids. Those who know anything about DC. Other than that, I don't know any other way to describe it to you. It's a high concept idea that's not particularly well fleshed out.
A very, very powerful being. Think Ego, the living planet.
Yeah, Because I think Ego technically is
Yeah,
a
he is
celestial.
considered a celestial, and it's because of Peter's half celestial heritage that he was able to handle one of the Infinity Stones.
Yeah. So, yeah, they created these deviant things originally to help kill off the apex predators of the planets that they were putting in celestial seeds. And if you hear thumping, that's our kitty, of course. But it turns out these deviants got out of hand, so then they had to create Eternals. And it turns out that they're cyborgs. I'm just going to call them that. Cyborgs, androids, whatever you want to think about it. We will get into that problem.
They're machines programmed with this mission to wipe out the deviants, because the deviants were created to wipe out predators and let intelligent life evolve and grow and pretty much overpopulate a planet to the point that whatever celestial being was growing within the bowels of the planet itself could then, well, it's never fully explained, but like absorb their life forces, or
I guess because and that would be the thing. Like if it was actually like absorbing people or anything, no, it just pops up out of the fucking ground.
yeah, it just like continues growing over like thousands of years. And the snap, it's mentioned, is like it delayed it, but
yeah, and after we see some of these Eternals in action, it's I'll get into the CGI and all that here in a bit, but they kind of show them fighting sword against the deviants. They're very basic powers. Like there's the not really leader, but he's the Superman. Oh, speaking of kitty.
yeah, his name is Icarus, played by Richard Madden from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, he's Jon Snow, or not Jon Snow.
Rob Stark.
Yeah, Rob Stark. I was about to
Although Jon Snow is in this, Kit Harington.
Yeah, Kit Harington's in this as well. Then there's also Gemma Chan. She's playing pretty much the lead of the movie, Cersei. So she's fine. He's on the hunt, I think.
I believe so.
Just to give you about Cersei, she's fine. Richard Madden, he's fine. Icarus' character, problems more relate to the character's writing. Eventually, we'll get into that.
I would say the acting is fine.
Yeah, none of it is ever like, oh my god, the worst thing ever. There's only like a few characters I would say is bad. Like there is a young kid, Sprite. She's introduced very early on.
I would say I didn't mind her so much until like towards the end when she had this total about face, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, but her acting, it's child acting. It's not the worst thing ever. It's very.
She's snarky teenager.
Yeah.
Which I didn't mind.
Yeah, and you sort of also get introduced a little bit to the other characters, but you really don't know about them until later on in the movie. Realistically, like you begin by meeting Cersei, Icarus, Sprite, and also a bit of Ajax, so Salma Hayek. And Salma Hayek is sleeping through this movie. She's not terrible. She is in full don't give a fuck mode.
It's a paycheck. I think just...
Yeah.
She's fine what little she's in it, because, spoiler alert, she's killed off fairly early on.
Yeah.
And then we keep having all these flashbacks to their time with her, or like she'll appear to Cersei to give her advice or something.
Yeah,
or is an illusion of Sprite.
Mm-hmm. And that's the issue. Like, right there, what we've talked about is about 35 minutes of the movie. It drags so bad. Like, the first act of this movie is so flabby. Like, I've met movies like with third acts, like Wonder Woman 84, where it's a very flabby third act. Like, it's really way too long. It needed a little cutting. Hell, I would argue that even though I love the movie, Avengers Endgame, its second act, it's a little chunky. But to be fair, it's a 3-hour-long movie, so its second act's always going to be a little on the chunky side.
And to be fair to Endgame, it didn't feel its length.
Yeah.
Or is...
This, you feel every minute of it. it reminds me so much of Superman v Batman that it just takes so long to fucking begin moving forward.
Yeah, it does not help that these characters, it's like they kind of meet at the beginning of the movie when they're coming to Earth, and it's like, oh hey, I'm Cersei, oh hey, I'm Icarus, and it's like, okay, y'all are on this ship together, head towards Earth, and y'all are just now meeting each other. Like, first off, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's like, we're all in like hibernation or something, because that's not really explained. And second of all, most of the movie takes place in present day, and we keep flashing back to their time together in like Babylon or when
The fall of the Aztec Empire. I'm worried I'm going to rant about that. We'll get into that in a minute. But I can't help it's because of their word usage and some of the bullshit they do. So, obviously, this movie does have some problems in the fact that, one, it's paced like shit. Two, it's having to explain, like, why did these characters eventually break apart? Because you saw that they really kind of stuck together.
For like a few thousand years, and it's like, okay, well, we've killed all the deviants, our mission's over, I guess we go our separate ways till we get orders to go home.
Yeah, from this celestial called Arisham. And it's like, okay, cool, and during this, Angelina Jolie, she has a mental breakdown, and it's...
This, like, madness is, like, kind of decaying her mind, and it'll kind of take over, and she'll start attacking everybody, including the other Eternals.
Yeah. Though it's not explained why she began attacking them. It's weird. Because, spoiler alerts, actually their memories are being wiped, and she actually had a memory that didn't get fully wiped, and that's
something went wrong with the process. They said they didn't really say what, but pretty much she still has remnants of memories from the last mission they carried out.
Yeah, because it turns out they've been doing missions for millions and millions of years, not thousands of years.
Yeah, and other planets, helping birth these celestials from other planets, destroying planets and the life on it, so that the celestials could go on and create other planets and create other life. And pretty much it's a good of the many outweigh the need, or the need of the many outweigh the good of the or something like that. The Vulcan argument.
And alright, so realize that we did say that they were cyborgs, because it is explicitly explained that they're not natural humans or natural beings.
Yeah, this comes as like such a shock, because only Ajax knew, and apparently once they left Babylon, Ajax told
Icarus.
Icarus.
Now, Icarus, he seemed to be okay and cool with it. He's like, alright, whatever, it's part of the mission. He's very much a soldier, I guess.
Blindly devoted to the mission, and like, this is my purpose in life. I cannot deviate from it. Otherwise, what am I? What am I doing?
Yeah, and Cersei, though, when she receives this information, acts shocked and astonished because she's become attached to the humans. It's like...
Yeah, she pretty much fell in love with them as soon as they landed on Earth and killed some deviants.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, so... Arisham, you created the deviants to begin with, because he does explain that he did make the deviants.
Yeah, and he programs them with their mission, and...
Yeah, and he then made the Eternals to, kill the deviants because, oopsie, I fucked up.
Yeah, and he pretty much rebirths, like reincarnates each of these Eternals, but like kind of wipes their memories of the last mission, mostly so he can study it.
Yeah. Figure out ways to fix things. Yes. He's sitting there staring at Megan. It's like, what's up? But...
He told me to put my thing up.
The weird thing is, like, why do they make robots? Or more importantly, why do they have emotions?
I would say, why not program them to be just mindless, like...
automatons.
I would say not really like killing machines, but just like one purpose only. It's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
And then not give a shit about anything else.
Yeah.
Including humans.
I know somebody who probably has read the comics and saying, well, this is comic accurate. And that's another issue. If it is comic accurate, guess what? It's a stupid plot point. There's a reason why they rewrote Civil War to fit within the MCU, and what they rewrote made both characters look so much better. And it's a good change. You don't need to stay 100% comic accurate if this is the case.
Yeah, I was actually just about to bring up that, yeah, there's times when adapting the comics faithfully makes sense, and then times when, tweaking some things here and there so it works better makes more sense. And I was actually going to bring up Civil War as
Yeah.
as an example. Like,
Yeah, and it's like, okay, we don't need to be this, if it is accurate to the comic books, like, we don't need this. Like, it doesn't add anything. In fact, it brings up plot holes. Because eventually we have to, after they realize, like, oh, well, we're here to actually kill all the humans. We have only so many days. Now, because of this, and they're also still trying to hunt down these new deviants that somehow ended up killing Ajax, is eventually explained how they did that. And they're able to now absorb the Eternals. It's like, none of the deviants were able to do that beforehand? Is this just something new they came up with?
well, they evolved, I'm guessing. Because they mentioned that when they brought the deviants to the planet to wipe out the predators and help intelligent life, grow and evolve and form and everything, that the deviants became predators themselves and started evolving to prey on everything else.
Pretty much a doomsday ripoff.
Yeah, it just, they just got out of hand. That's why the Eternals were created, to kill off the deviants that they sent so that intelligent life could form and grow and overpopulate, and the Celestial could
Make itself somehow.
I guess, zap their life force, life energy, something. It's not really explained why they need these life,
So much life. Because it did say something a little bit about technology and all that, but it's like, okay, but still, what does that fucking matter? Mm-hmm. It's like, that's not how that works. But another thing I'm going to touch on real quick, and it is actually about the CGI, because it becomes a little bit more apparent. It's not great. It's never terrible. But there's a lot of ugly looks. The deviants all look like tentacle hentai the entire time.
Except when one gets turned into a tree and the other evolves into a humanoid form voiced by Bill Skarsgård.
It is unnecessarily funny when it happens. It's like, well, that fucking happened. But, yeah, CGI, But the biggest problem, and it's the same issue I have with so many other of these movies, Batman v Superman, it's got this dull fucking color palette throughout the entire movie. It's this blue, gray, just...
joyless, boring.
Yeah. Oh, but to give us joy, we eventually have to begin getting the gang together. Yeah. That's... like the middle of the movie nearly, they begin gathering everybody. Like, oh, we need to get everybody. And one of the first people they get is this guy named Kingo, played by Kamal
Najani.
I'm going to call him what he is. Douchebag.
Douchebag Indian dude.
I will let you start about him. And then I might chime in.
I will say, I didn't mind him in Stuber.
But it was Stupor.
Him and Emily and Lovebirds, they were, that movie could have been so much worse. I'm still so surprised.
Yeah.
But in this, he is just downright annoying. Like, he is so full of himself, can't take a goddamn thing seriously.
He is.
Sorry, I was going to say, it does not help that when we went to go see this in theaters, there was a group of people, I don't know if they were, his theory is that they were plants by Disney or Marvel. But I think they were just high as a fucking kite. Because anytime Kingo, Kamal Najani's character, would say anything, even the least, even not even meant to be funny.
Like, you just say, hi.
It's like...
Yeah, and it's like that. It's like a fucking car stopping.
And it was really high pitched, giggly, schoolgirl like.
It's like
It's
that's.
like you're all high.
It's like this is not funny, and here's the thing, like realistically, like a lot of people, whenever they bash MCU, they always say it's like, oh well, they can't take anything seriously. He is that personified.
I was like, he's the epitome of that.
Yeah, he is. Sorry.
No.
Yeah, he is exactly what people, when they say it's like, oh well, they always want to make jokes and everything. He is that, always saying jokes, and they don't land at all.
Yeah, like it works for Tony Stark, because he comes across as, oh, that's just a coping mechanism of his.
Yeah.
You know, he's kind of a snarky asshole, just.
And he can still be serious when he needs to be serious.
Yes, kind of like, crack a joke, like, every now and then, but just kind of, like, lighten the mood, but he doesn't need to, like, crack a joke every now and then. Like, he can actually take stuff seriously. Kingo, not so much.
Yeah, every 5 seconds, anything slightly serious, we have to have him cracking a fucking joke. Then we also have this other Indian dude who's following him around.
Now, like, filming everything, and they keep destroying his camera, and he pulls out another one. It's like, how many cameras do you have? And it was like this running gag that just was not funny.
Yeah, it's like, okay, guys, it was not funny the first time. It is not funny the 5th time. It's like, I have woefully checked out this
he's
joke.
got like 3 or 4 freaking cameras that he's like trying to like film this like documentary about Kingo, this Bollywood star.
Yeah, and I fucking hate Kingo's character so much. He is arguably the worst part of this entire movie, because all his powers are is he can shoot lasers out of his fingers. Woo. Yeah.
Or create like little like fireballs or something like something.
He's Ryu with a terrible joke mechanism thing. Like, oh, I hit the stupid joke button, I win. He's so not funny, and he's 90% of the dialogue in his chunk of the movie. And it's like, I want you to shut up. I want you to shut up.
About as funny as cancer.
Oh, he's as funny as butt cancer.
Sorry, we had game night with our friends yesterday and having flashback to Cards Against Humanity.
That was a new butt cancer. But it's just, like, the whole time, I was like, I wanted to get up and scream. It's like, you are not funny.
Like, I think he tries so hard to, like, he's a bit of a peacock. Like, he wants so much, I think, to be Icarus. Like, he pretty much plays Icarus in this adaptation of
Bollywood
like, yeah, it's like Bollywood adaptation of like Icarus and Circe and everything. It's like their little like love story.
Yeah, and he's also the one who eventually describes the fact that, oh, Sprite's in love with Icarus. Like, this is like nearly 2 hours in. And
he's like, oh, well, I know something about you. I know that you're in love with Icarus. Like, it just, that's another problem. Like, it just comes the fuck out of nowhere.
yeah.
Because the bond
Cuts. Sorry, I put this fucking sneezer in the middle of that. You were saying about Icarus and Sprite's bond.
Yeah. Icarus and Sprite, like, their bond comes across more like, a father and daughter, or more accurately, a big brother and a little sister. Like, honestly, he sees her like a little sister. And she almost kind of seemed like she looked upon him like a big brother.
Yeah, but...
or maybe like Circe and Icarus like parental figures, almost. It just, like, that's the kind of bond you feel from them. And then Kingo is over here is like, oh, I know you're in love with Icarus. He's Peter Pan, you're Tinkerbell. And, like, y'all can't be together because he's him and you're you. And it's like...
And not only that, but another issue is, like, Sprite and Icarus don't share much in the way of screen time together. Like, they're very rarely on together. And that's thanks to the fact that this movie's got this huge fucking cast of people. I know it worked in Guardians of the Galaxy. There were 5 people. And people still would say that, because maybe if you want to include Nebula, you can say 6. But even then, people will say, hey, we still kind of were missing stuff on Ronan. So if you add 4 more characters that you're barely going to do well, why do you think this is magically going to be so much better? Because we get introduced more to Angelina Jolie and Gilgamesh. Because we got to see what they're up to. Gilgamesh, he literally is an Asian strong guy. That's his power. He's strong.
Well, I think they all have like super strength because I know Icarus, he's super strong.
Yeah,
I think that seems to be like the base eternal power, and then they kind of have their own abilities. Like Cersei, she can turn rocks into water, rocks into metal. You know, she can
change the properties of stuff if she wants to.
Well,
she can make water just pretty much appear from dirt.
Yeah.
Change the chemical properties. That's what I think.
I think one thing it only pertains to like stuff that's like natural or something. Or maybe it's not fully explained. But then again, I don't really need an explanation. I get it.
Also, doesn't help we don't consider use your powers but a few times.
Yeah. Icarus, he can fly and shoot laser beams out of his eyes.
He's Superman light.
Kingo, like I said, got the fingers.
Sprite can make
She can make illusions or what else was her powers?
She can make illusions. That's about all.
No, she can like make like.
It's an illusion.
Well.
Yeah, she can make illusions.
Yeah.
She can make glamour. Is the best way. Think about like fairies and fae.
Yeah, and there's Thena. She has her.
She can make a sword or spear appear. Woo.
Yeah, you kind of see it in the trailer though.
Yeah.
That one like really cool looking shot from that's actually the very beginning of the movie.
Yeah, though again, Angelina Jolie, much like Salma Hayek, is just kind of sleeping through this movie. She's not really doing much. She's kind of there.
Yeah, even then, like neither one of them are like hardly in it.
Yeah.
So it's all about like Cersei and Icarus and Sprite and Kingo.
Fuck Kingo.
And there's also Druid.
Yeah, we get introduced to him. He can control people's minds. So,
like he like can erase people's memories, or he can
control them and make them do what he wants them to do and stuff.
Including make peace with their fellow humans.
So, can I rant about Druid real fast?
I thought you were one to rant about Kingo.
Oh, I already ranted about Kingo.
I thought you were going to say, okay.
Yeah. So,
take it away, honey.
Druid, whenever they introduce like the reason why he broke away and everything, is because of the genocide of the Aztec Empire.
By the Spanish conquistadors, for those who flunked history.
Oh, no. Not even Spanish conquistadors. There was also the other tribes that didn't like the fucking Aztec Empire. Because here's the thing. The Aztec Empire was not a good empire. They were bloodthirsty psychopaths. They sacrificed people and enslaved hundreds of thousands, if not millions of other people. This is not an empire we need to describe anything to.
They were a blood cult.
Yeah. They weren't genocided against. Like, it would have been one thing if he was, like, his delusion of humans and their ability of free will, which is something that also is not brought up at all. Like, the fact that...
Except in terms of the Eternals, like...
Yeah, you would have thought that somebody would say, it's like, no, you can't do this, Drew, because you're stripping them of their free will. Yes, they're violent people, but that is their option.
No, instead it's... No, you can't do this because we can't interfere with humans unless deviants are involved. Like,
yeah, and it's like, so fuck us. We can't make our own goddamn decisions.
Yeah.
Sure, we're a violent and mean species at times. Fuck it. That's how we are. Let us fucking make that decision.
Yeah, it's like this one storyline on Angel where Gina Torres' character Jasmine strips humanity of free will in order to bring about world peace. And Angel kind of even argues with her, like, well, if we need our free will stripped away in order to achieve this, then obviously we don't deserve world peace. Like,
yeah. And then, like, we're supposed to sit here and, again, it's like one is like, the movie has this weird perception and dealing when it comes to history. Gonna get into another issue that I might be bringing up a little early, sorry. But with the whole thing with Druig, it's like, oh, his dissolution was the fall of the Aztec Empire. It's like, okay, that's a weird thing to hold yourself up on. Why not Christopher Columbus, pretty much actual committing genocide against the native population of Hispaniola? Why not the sacking of Constantinople by the fucking Crusaders and also right afterwards by the Turks? Why not any of the many Mongol attacks that led to hundreds of thousands of people dying? Why is it the Aztec Empire? Because they're Indians and that's why we're supposed to get upset about this? T?
I really think that was just the straw that broke the camel's back. After watching thousands of years of human history, if I can talk, of humans just like killing each other and like, okay, I'll kill you back and I kill you, and just like being, nasty to each other, he just like finally had enough and says like, it's like, I'm just gonna make them make peace. And Ajax like, no, we can't interfere. Not unless there's deviants involved.
Yeah, but still, it's such a stupid way to show this. It's, one is like, okay, well, if this is the message you want to try and get across, because realistically, it's like it's trying to just say, it's like, war bad. Okay, thanks, a child could have wrote that.
I say, humans suck.
Congratulations, you learned something today.
Go to Walmart and figure that out yourself.
No, you can go up to anywhere. It's got a moderate amount of human beings. You can figure that out. Go up to Florida and learn it.
Yeah.
But then there's another issue that this movie has when it comes to dealing with history. Again, it's one of these problems like, okay, if you're going to have something that's going to deal with all this history stuff, you got to prioritize certain things. Again, it's weird they get hung up on the Aztec Empire. Like, okay, not getting into it anymore. But then there is this other guy. His name is Fastus.
Fastus?
I'm going to call him Fatso. Sorry, he's fat.
Yeah, Brian Tyree Henry. It's spelled kind of like phantasm.
He's a fat guy. And he's the reason why also Saudi Arabia decided to kick this out, because when they eventually meet him, he originally decided to break away from humanity.
Yeah, turns back on humanity thanks to
the fact they made the nuclear or the atomic bomb and dropped it in Hiroshima.
Because his big thing is technology and inventing technology. And like back in like ancient civilization, like Babylon, Mesopotamia and all that, like he was going to invent the steam engine, but Ajax like, no, that's too advanced for them. It's like, just take it slow. And he's like, plow. Because that's what it does. I was like, okay, that's funny.
But yeah, he's upset about the fact that the humans were able and willing to use an atomic weapon. And I go, ooh, what about the fucking millions of people killed by the Nazis? Literal
yeah, that doesn't
millions.
cause outrage, but the technological advancement during World War II, that's what pisses him off.
Yeah, so he pretty much wants to swear off humanity and everything.
And goes to live in Chicago.
Yeah, it's like, why is that the first place you think to live?
Apparently finds love with a man, and
yeah,
they have a son together. It's like, oh, that's nice. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, considering you know nothing beyond the fact that he's gay, he might as well just be the token gay black guy. There's not a lot to him.
Yeah, that technology things like he's not really getting a lot of screen time. In fact, I totally forgot he was in this until towards the end, where they flash back to him turning his back on humanity during World War II. It's like, oh yeah. Or same with Druig, till they go to pick him up.
Yeah, and during all this, I guess we need to admit the fact that Gilgamesh dies. Oh, not my favorite character that I didn't remember his name, and I know Megan forgot about him until I mentioned him. And way back when we originally were talking about this movie, I decided if we want to review this, I was like, oh yeah, and Gilgamesh got eaten.
Yeah, it's like, I totally forgot. It's like, oh yeah, his name was Gilgamesh, like the king from the epic thing.
Yeah, the ancient Babylonian tale and all that.
Yeah, and it's like, I forgot his name. It's like, I just remember, like, kind of chubby Asian dude, looked like Wong from Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Like, taking care of Angelina Jolie because she's, going crazy.
Yeah. And that's also whenever the deviant, after he eats Gilgamesh, literally,
Yeah, like
he noms on him.
like, somehow absorbed, like, his powers and I guess his memories or something, and that's what allows one of them to, like, pretty much let the alpha of the pack of deviants to evolve into his humanoid form and tell him, like, oh, we're just trying to survive and y'all just trying to wipe us out. Who's the bad guy here?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you make a good point, but at the same time, it's like, I kind of don't give a shit.
Yeah, it's like, okay, there's already another issue. I don't care about this. This is not even a plot.
I would say, it's like, y'all just could have, like, lived by yourselves up in, what was it, Alaska?
Yeah.
Nobody except Icarus knew that y'all were still alive. Y'all could just been by yourselves, instead y'all go attack, like, Cersei and like, oh, demons are alive. I thought they were dead.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, it's like, start this whole film, start this whole quest, like.
Yeah. Then they eventually decide that they're going to try and put the celestial that's in Earth to sleep. And they need
to save the human race.
Yeah, and well, with the exception of what it turns out, the main antagonist, Icarus. Icarus, like we already told you, he was a soldier in all essence.
He murdered Ajax.
Yeah, pretty much fed her to the
Deviants.
deviant that became the alpha one.
Yeah, and they were able to absorb her healing power because of it.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
Actually, the alpha absorbed the healing power, and then he somehow managed to share it with the other deviants. Like,
because he went to go and tie into them.
Yeah, it's like. It's like. Okay.
Yeah. So now we have to have two sort of issues. The Celestial's about to be born. He's about to destroy the Earth, and the whole. I was just gonna say the whole time while it's going on, I'm like, why not call the Avengers? Why not call anybody? There's so many different groups you could get a hold of right now to help with this.
Yeah, like, even if you felt you couldn't you could handle this by yourselves, and that it's like, oh, no one else is gonna be able to handle it, no one else is gonna be able to understand, or whatever. Like, I still felt that there were no real stakes to this movie. It's like, okay, they're not gonna let Earth be destroyed. MCU is not going to do that. It's like, yeah, they killed half the population. Or not killed, like.
They dusted them away.
Mm-hmm. But, it's like, they're not going to have the balls to just destroy an entire planet. Or at least our planet. I mean, some distant, like.
They would totally Alderaan off a planet or two, but they're not going to do that.
Not our planet.
Yeah. Oh, they did that technically off screen with fucking, what's the name of that planet? It's the planet that the one stone was on that Thanos destroyed.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember. It's got the Nova Core and it bothers me now. Oh, it's not that important. Yeah, like they fucking killed that planet. Oh, okay.
As long as it doesn't affect us, we don't give a shit, apparently.
Yeah, like, oh, okay.
It's like, they're not gonna have the balls to do that. It's like, they're gonna save the day, they're gonna save the planet, they're gonna save the human race.
Yeah, and it ends in a giant CGI fight thing that's also got some really silly moments because I guess Cersei, she can't really fly, she's not really fast, she only has her sword of strength.
Oh yeah, there was also a deaf chick who could run really fast and like sense vibrations, even if people like just
talking,
like just barely talking, like whispering. In turn.
Yeah, and again, this harkens back to the whole like, hey, they're cyborgs. Why the fuck would you make one deaf?
I have no problem with them being like one of them being deaf. It's like, okay, diversity, I guess. Like,
it's pretty much what the movie is. It's diversity quota of the film.
Yeah, it's like I don't have a problem with the diverse cast. What I do have a problem with is the fact there are too many goddamn people.
Yeah, there's
and also the fact that like we're having to be introduced to them and their relations to each other as the movie progresses, even though they already have these established personalities and relationships. And it's like, okay, well, you're having to catch us up while also kind of furthering the story and introduce us to these characters and what they mean to each other. And it's like, okay, I don't care, move the story along. And then you move the story along, it's like, okay, well, I don't care because you didn't spend enough time with these characters. Like, it kind of a double-edged sword was like where you spend too much time with these characters, but at the same time, not enough. Like, it's, I kind of see what y'all were trying to do, Marvel, but
I think it didn't help because there's just so many damn characters. Like,
yes.
the deaf chick doesn't have, I think, but like 5 lines. Or 5 signs, I should say. That's a dumb joke. The, Juror barely exists in the damn movie.
Yeah, it's like he's only there for Xerxes to be able to kind of tap into his power to be able to put the Celestial to sleep. And pretty much they pretty much go on Captain Planet. Let our powers combine.
Yeah.
And just connect to each other via this orb that was inside of Salma Hayek that allowed her to talk directly to Erisham and be connected to him. And I guess it's celestial energy or something. And
it's a neck vagina.
yeah, the little like bone that's like right here.
Yeah.
In her body.
And
which then goes into Xerxes, who becomes a new leader. And then she finds out the whole truth about everything. It's like, okay, well, we gotta stop this. We gotta put a stop to this. Like, ain't no ifs, ands, buts, or coconut.
Yeah, and right before this, also, Sprite turns on them and is like, no, I want to join with Icarus.
Because she's in love with him.
Yeah, and
also because she's pissed off at humans, like...
because she's stuck as a kid.
And she realizes that... Sorry, keep swearing. But, like, she realizes that she can never have what these humans have. She can never, grow older. She can never, fall in love, really, or, get married and have a family. She can never really have that for herself. And she's resentful of humans for that. And she's like, fuck humans.
She wants to be a real boy.
Yeah, she's like, fuck humans for this. And also, like, maybe, if we, come back and we go to another mission, like, maybe I can, be an adult.
Yeah, and like it's stupid. It's a stupid reasoning. It's like it would be one thing like if that was something that Sprite had been like really like harping on the entire thing. Like it's just brought up near the end of the fucking movie.
There's like a little bit of a seed planted at the very beginning where she glamours herself into an adult and is like flirting with this guy, and he goes to put his hand on her and like kind of goes like through her like illusion hand.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like...
Yeah, but other than that, there's nothing else. There's no other building to it.
Yeah.
Hell, that's like the relationship between Icarus and Circe is simply because we are told it and we kind of see it a little bit. It's like, okay, all right, the characters or the actual actors don't have good chemistry together.
Same thing. It's like we're kind of sweet at times with this, like, oh, I'd love to have you if you have me or something. And they get married, it's like Indian ceremony.
And it's just doesn't add a ton to it. Because by the end of it all, Icarus, I guess, decides to side with them. After they also killed the Alpha thing, where I was like, oh yeah, that thing's a thing in the movie.
Yeah. Pretty much after they succeed and he fails, he's like, oh, I'm so sorry, and flies into the sun in shame.
It's really funny.
Yeah.
It is like...
Because in mythology, Icarus flew too close to the sun, and actually, it's mentioned that Sprite made that story up about him.
Yeah. If this sounds like this is a bit of a mess of a film, and let me let you know also this much, it is 2.5 hours long. Not that that means that is a bad movie, like if it's more than 2 hours long or more than an hour and a half long, but it is 2.5 boring hours.
I say 2.5 hours where nothing really happens except some occasional fighting and dun dun dun.
Yeah, I almost felt like that was gonna be a bum 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 noise here and there. Except for where in We Are the Croods,
The
where that little sloth thing was just absolutely adorable when it
dun
happened.
dun dun. It's like,
And even then, it didn't try to wear that out. It only did that a few times.
yeah.
But here, I was like, the fuck? Movie? Really? Oh, and we do gotta talk about the post-credit scenes real quick. We'll spoil them a little bit. Harry Styles is the rapist in this, as y'all already probably guessed if you read up on IMDb. Eros, or Star Fox, knows Thanos' brother. He's known as a rapist because of his power of being able to push people by talking to them. He's done that with women before to get them to sleep.
I thought you were talking about Harry Styles. Like, I have not heard a damn thing about allegations. Like, I was so confused.
He's probably fucked a few guys under duress, you know? Sorry, that man's caught with a picture of him with a cock shoved deep in his mouth. I will not be surprised, but I'm surprised he's the bottom. But yeah, they make a big deal. And I like how, like, different things. Of course, Screen Rant's not really much of a company. They're just a shock clickbait company at this point. But they made a big deal that also Pip is here and he's going to change the Marvel. It's like, no, Pip is not going to be shit to the Marvel universe. It didn't mean shit to the Marvel universe in the comics. It doesn't mean shit here. Because they introduced Pip's CGI character.
Voiced by Patton Oswalt. Like, he's there just like, oh, presenting, da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Firefox, or Star Fox.
Firefox.
Shit.
Here's a working Internet Explorer. Or suboptimal, there's what it is. I think I like my stupid joke. And then there's another one, because turns out those who actually read anything into the comics or anything like that, because Cersei's boyfriend, for lack of a better way to put it, his name is Dane Whitman. Those who've read the comics know
Kit Harington.
Yeah, it's Kit Harington's character. Know that is the Black Knight. And at the end of it, he's kind of talking with Cersei. He's like, oh, well, my family lineage is a little bit more...
Yeah, because he's big on, like, his family history, and, like, she gets him a ring with his family crest on it at the beginning of the movie, and then later he's like, okay, well, I've been doing some more digging into my family history. Turns out it's a little more complicated, and then she's abducted by Erisham, who's like, okay, so you stopped the birth of this Celestial. Y'all gonna have to answer the fact. I'm gonna spare the humans, but it's like, y'all come back with me and explain yourselves.
Yeah, he just kind of, like, zaps up who was there, because I want to say it's like...
Athena.
I know Cersei, it's a few of them.
Yeah, and then some of them are on the spaceship.
I think that's Druig and the deaf chick. I don't even remember her name.
Yeah, I want to say Athena's on that ship.
I think Athena's on it, shoot.
Yeah, and then Pip just suddenly appears like, okay, presenting. And then Harry Styles pops up, like, oh, hey, I'm here to help. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
And then in a post-credit scene, you see Dane, a.k.a. Jon Snow.
Yeah, he's about to get the ebony blade. And then there's a voice
off screen. It's like, are you sure you're ready for this?
Yeah, and I was like, okay, well, I want to know who the fuck that voice is, because I was thinking, it's going to be something, like, really cool, maybe. Maybe it's going to be like Captain Britain. Those who do not know about Captain Britain, his technical powers is that he's got the he's as strong as the loyalty is to the crowd, and it's so weird.
Yeah, apparently it's Blade.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah, we had to find this out via a article.
Yeah.
On the internet. It's not revealed in the movie, not even hinted. It's like, okay, whose voice is that? Like, who the fuck is talking?
Yeah, and I was like, I swear that voice sounded familiar. And I was like, oh, because it's the guy who's going to be playing Blade, they're going to make him Muslim because the actor's Muslim, which is stupid. It's like, wow, y'all are going to make so many weird issues, because also Blade's supposed to be British now in comics. I think it's because of his dad. I'll explain it off screen. Hey, chicken's done. Yeah, it's not fun. And the worst thing is, I think that the post-credit sequences are going to have a lot more to deal with later on in the MCU.
Than the rest of the damn movie.
Yeah. This movie's bad, y'all. It's bad, yo.
Yeah, this movie just slowly jerking itself off, just edging itself, and then finally just...
It's not even a good one. It's like a... It's like when you squeeze it barely on the tube of toothpaste.
Once again, we played Cards Against Humanity yesterday, so our mind's still in the gutter.
What would you give this as like a final score for the film?
I know, I am being generous here.
Drives me.
I give it a 2 out of 10.
This is the worst MCU movie that's come out.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it's worse than Iron Man 3.
Like it's worse than Shang-Chi. And that was a low fucking bar to swing under.
Yeah, I just, Shang-Chi, like, it had its entertaining moments, like, Trevor and that little creature, that adorable little creature that was, like, following him around.
Too bad that takes about 2/3 of the goddamn movie to get to.
I'd say the villain was actually somewhat compelling.
Yeah,
more compelling than Shang-Chi.
That's because Shang-Chi was about as interesting as looking at the fucking wall for an hour and a half.
Or whenever Wong appeared at the end of the movie. Especially when they do karaoke.
Also didn't help that Aquafina was in that and wanted to stab her in the face with a toothpick the entire time.
I didn't mind her as much as I thought I would. She's still kind of annoying after a while, but... Still would rather go rewatch Shang-Chi over Eternals. I'm sorry. But Eternals like so boring, and it's like, yes, we don't need like this lively, bright, A Wrinkle in Time, color palette.
I would have put up with that. I would have liked something that was at least like I could tell the difference between everybody.
A little more lively, yeah. It's like, I don't need, that kind of, bright color palette, but it's like, kind of brighten things up, kind of liven things up a little, rather than, dull, gray, boring.
Oh, did you like the fight sequence in the fucking Amazon forest that was all lit fucking gray?
I was like,
you couldn't see shit.
I couldn't tell what the fuck was going on. It's like, I just, trees and people fighting, and, okay.
People fighting trees, trees fighting people.
And yeah, that's another thing. Some of the fight scenes went on for a bit too long.
Well, that's because we were like, all right, can you explain something? I don't get why this is happening. This is a 1. This is Batman v Superman levels of incompetent filmmaking, bad direction, bad writing, and not really great CGI. The only thing this doesn't do worse than Superman v Batman.
It's a little bit brighter and you can actually tell a little bit more about what stuff is.
Slightly. And also it doesn't absolutely rape characters. But to be fair, that is not something I want. I don't need you to utterly destroy characters and make me hate them. I just need a competent superhero movie. That's all I wanted this to be. I didn't need this to be this is going to be one of the greatest Marvel movies of all time. Like they really wanted this to be. Instead, it's just a slog to get through.
Yeah, I would have settled for so-so. And...
It's just not a fun movie to watch. It's the worst part. Is this is one of those movies, honestly, it's like how we had to watch the Snyder Cut. You gotta watch it in bits and pieces, because if you try to sit and go through a 2.5 hour movie of this boringly badly paced, you're gonna lose your fucking mind. I found myself actively, consistently just checking out, and I was like, I want to just look at my phone. I want to sit there and just go on Twitter for a bit.
If I can give this movie anything, I'd rather rewatch this than rewatch Batman vs Superman or Man of Steel or Suicide Squad. Especially the Snyder cut of some of these movies. Like,
Snyder Cut's so
like
bad.
4 fucking hours, nothing.
Oh, it's 4 hours of Zack Snyder tugging on his little pee-pee. He's
Yeah.
like, eh.
I was thinking, like, with Justice League, some of the improvements, or some of the, like, footage put back in, I was like, okay, that, like, is a slight improvement. It does not make the film all that much better, though.
No, it really didn't.
Like, thing with Cyborg, really, like, this is why he needs his own movie before y'all made Justice League.
Yeah. So, in short, if you have any time to go see a movie this weekend, don't go see Eternals. I don't know if you'd even want to go see Dune. I haven't seen Dune yet. People have been saying it's really good, but I'm like, eh. People said the same thing about Arrival, and I fucking hated that movie.
I was like, Dune looks so boring and monochromatic. Like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like it's hard for me to put up with a monochromatic palette, especially like a desert setting. Like,
Yeah, you gotta do something else for me, because otherwise I will check out of a movie. Like, hell, at least like Mad Max Fury Road. Oh, sure, it took place 95% in the fucking desert.
It was bright colors.
Yeah.
So, and it's like a mixture of palettes. Like, you know, you got the dark brown and black of like the vehicles, and you get like this bright yellow sand.
Yeah, and then you had all the guys just painted just pitch white.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a beautiful looking movie.
Mm-hmm. I'd say at least try to add some color to the desert.
Yeah. Well, so far this year.
This year sucks.
Yeah, in terms of movies. Yeah, if y'all want a quick explanation of what's been going on, realistically, there's not been shit we've really wanted to watch. Or if we've watched it, it's either been mediocre or it's been not great. Like, there's been a few movies I have liked, and that's it. Like, I couldn't, even if I sat down and watched like 30 or 40 movies, put together for you probably a good best of 2021. There has been fuck all. It's either been bad movies or just underwhelming ones. Like, you want a Black Widow review? Because I don't think we can give you one. It's a movie.
Yeah.
It's, to me, slightly better than Iron Man 3. Slightly.
Yeah, it has moments, but much like with Eternals, like, it had very little stakes. Because you know she's going to survive because she was in Endgame.
Yeah. And it takes place after Civil War. Like, if that movie came out right after Civil War, it would have been a lot better of a film. Instead, it's just, it's forgettable.
Yeah.
That's the most I can ever say about the movie. It's a very forgettable film. This movie is truly
Yeah, it's really just to introduce Florence Pugh as the new Black Widow, and it's like, eh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it's interesting. She's interesting, but it's just the movie could have been released, like made and released much sooner.
Could have been like about 4 years ago. Would have been better, I think.
Yeah, I was like, y'all know that you're getting ready to kill off Natasha. Spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
And Endgame, it's like maybe put this movie out before that, so the movie's actually stakes.
Yeah. But that's our opinions on Eternals. Fucking miss it. Go watch Black Widow.
Or wait until it's on Disney Plus for free. Like.
Yeah. Or hell, your neighbor goes and buys it, go steal it from him. Then after you steal from him, melt the damn thing. So that way there's
Like
no
outside with binoculars, like.
But that's our review. Hopefully soon we'll maybe have some more reviews of movies. So until then, we will see you all there. So bye-bye, everybody.